Guys, do you see that? The FedEx guy is here. So hopefully my shelf or bookcase is getting delivered and it's gonna go right over there in that corner. Guys, he didn't stop at my house. He went to the house across the street and I'm gonna look, like I'm not going over there, but if he delivered my bookcase to the wrong house, which on the app and all, it doesn't say it was delivered yet, but I don't want to carry a bookcase that is that size across the street. I am little. And I would feel bad making somebody else carry something like that across the street. So hopefully, knock on wood, that's not my package that is coming on another truck, or he's gonna come back on the way out. Guys, welcome to another reading vlog. This one's theme is our reset, getting ready for February, wrapping up January. I think the Friday's the last day of the month, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked at that page in my calendar yet. I am cold. It is, I don't know what the temperature is, but it's rainy today. And I haven't gone, I've brushed my hair and brushed my teeth, but I haven't done anything else in getting ready. But I am about to get into reading, and that's why I'm starting the vlog now rather than once I am all did up and all. But our quote of the week is, "Not all who wander are lost." This was one of my favorite quotes back in my teenage years, like in like 8th grade or something. Oh, it's from, I only said Tolkien, but people on here say Tolkien, so J.R.R. Tolkien. I actually have a poster in my studio, my hobby room, that says the same thing, and people are like, that's such a basic quote. If you like that, you're not really a fan of Lord of the Rings. Well, I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings. I've never read it, but I can appreciate a good quote from anybody if it's a good quote. And, you know, it's cute with the trees, and it's like, a national park sign or state park or something, you know? That's actually kind of cool because, you know, you're usually wandering around those kind of places. So that is our quote for the week. And let's see what books I'm reading. Oh yeah, I can see here. So yes, Friday is the last day of the month, and y'all will be seeing this video on Saturday, which will be February 1st. But we are still sticking to sci-fi because it is still January, and this is the last sci-fi book on my TBR for January. But for my short story collection, I do think I will finish this book this week. I have about, I think it was like 30 pages left, like 35 pages left, and that is Memory Wall by Anthony Doerr. This is all short stories that are somehow related to memories. The one I'm reading right now is, I could tell y'all, but it also says on here. So in Afterworld, the radiant, cathartic final story, a woman who escaped the Holocaust is haunted by visions of her childhood friends in Germany, yet finds solace in the tender ministrations of her grandson. That's the one I'm currently reading. It is kind of confusing, but I feel like it could be meant to be. Yeah, but we'll talk more about that when I actually finish the story. And this is the book I started yesterday. I only read one chapter. It was quite a long chapter, 16 pages, but I just wanted to go ahead and get a little bit into it. This book I've had on my TBR for so long. I don't know when this was published, actually. Let's see. And this is the book that's going to be our main focus this week. It was published in 2016. But I think I got this in like 2018. Yeah, first paperback edition was 2018. And let me tell y'all what this is about. So Rosewater, oh, and this is Rosewater by Tay Thompson. Rosewater is a town on the edge, a community formed around the edges of a mysterious biodome. Its residents comprise the hopeful, the hungry, and the helpless. People eager for a glimpse inside the dome or a taste of its rumored healing powers. So Caro is a government agent with a criminal past. A sensitive, he can navigate the massive psychic space created by the dome, but then something within the dome begins killing off other sensitives. Caro must defy his masters to avert a horrifying future, and this is taking place in Nigeria. So it's like sci-fi, but in our own world. It takes place in 2060. It looks like it's going to be overwritten though. And lastly, my mood read is Nightingale Point by Loon Goldie. This is contemporary fiction, but it could technically be listed as historical as it's taking place in the 1990s. We have 5 characters that we start following in our story, and it's like it says, one ordinary day. We're seeing them go through the notions of life and going through their relationships and whatnot, and then a catastrophic event happens and we see how all of those people go about handling that situation. I know that's not a lot of info, but really there's not even a lot on the blurb, because I could describe it a lot more, but I think like the main plot point in here, you need to go in not knowing, because I was so shocked. And I'm not currently doing an ebook. I have ordered the 9th Outlander book. I don't know when it's going to get here. I think it will get here this weekend, so in February, and that will be my ebook, and that is the most recent Outlander book, and I will be like all caught up with the series. I don't know how long that book is, but I'm gonna get into memory wall and exercise while I do that on the bicycle, and then sometime film my video. I have already cleaned today. I vacuumed, but I still want to mop the floors as well. Y'all, just keeping y'all updated with everything in life. I started the day feeling like I was in kind of a mood, but since I got food in me, I do feel a little bit better and had some water and everything. But I mean, I'm obviously mad about the football game last night. I think a lot of America's mad, but then a lot of people do love the Chiefs, but I am a hater. I am a hater. I do not care. We have our teams we don't like. It's nothing personal towards them. It's just a team I don't like. But yeah, so I was really like upset about that, and hopefully just we move on. I don't really want to talk about it. I did watch Gladiator II over the weekend, and I give it a 4-star. Everything I've seen on Reddit, people like despise this movie, and yes, it does have the same exact plot as the first movie, and I saw a woman did a post. She was like, I enjoyed this movie, and this is coming, and she was saying this is coming from somebody who has studied Roman history for years, and somebody was like, how can you, a man, you know, how could you have studied Roman history and enjoy this movie when it's so like not historically accurate? Okay, to that guy, like, I don't even know this woman who was posting this. Movies are supposed to be fun. It's called historical fiction. Fiction. I read a lot of historical fiction. It's not supposed to be 100% accurate. I don't think any art depiction can be 100% historically accurate. That's impossible, because especially for talking about something that took place, you know, 1,000 years ago, we weren't there. And I mean, obviously these took big, like, it's like if this person had lived, if this person had become emperor, and blah blah blah, if this attack had happened. But again, it is historical fiction, and I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I had a great time with it, but I do think it was like the same movie, just, you know, 20 years later. But I still had fun with it. I thought it was a good movie, and I would recommend it. But that's an unpopular opinion, apparently, and I've been talking 7 minutes. I really need to get to doing what I need to do today. Hey guys. I don't need to say hey guys in every clip. Like, I only need to say it at the start. But I am about to, or the like reset thing that I am about to do is go through the books that I hauled this month and sort them by genre, because I am getting my new bookcase. It will be my last bookcase for this room, and that is, I don't know, it's gonna get here tomorrow, but it's gonna get here sometime this week, and we will put that together later. But I am sorting these books by genre, the books that I hauled. And there's more, but this is I only get a little bit at a time. So we're going to sort them by genre. We are going to see if I can get any of them for free with my Audible subscription, or if any are on Kindle Unlimited, and just put like a little, you know, sticky on them, so I know that, hey, this is also, I can read it in tandem with other formats. And that is what I'm going to do. Y'all are gonna see the whole process. Cue the music. I know the music sometimes scares people, so music is about to play. I hope that has focused. Sorry for that. I know I should make my bed, but in winter I don't see a point because I'm just going to be under my covers a lot anyway, so we'll just put the blanket there so you know it looks better. Actually, let's do my Valentine's blanket just to be kind of festive, you know, that will be really cute. But I want to update y'all on Rosewater. I also need to put all my bookish social media, you know, I guess we'll do some self promo. All my links are down below in my link tree, but I got to page 123, which was 107 pages read, which was 28% of the book. We're going over to Storygraph now. 1, 2, 3, save. That says 29%. Let's see what Fable says. All these apps say different things. I don't understand how that works. Okay, 1, 2, 3 once again. And that has me at 31%. Who knows what percent I'm at. But well, first I'm going to tell y'all like what is happening here, because I was thinking about my vlogs. I was like, do I ever say what is actually happening in the book, or do I just read y'all my notes? But what is happening, we have our character Caro, who I told y'all about, who is a government agent with a criminal past. And this is taking place in Nigeria in the 2060s, but we do have flashbacks to starting in like 2032, you know, and going to where our current plot line is. And so that's like really crazy to think about, that when these characters were born is like the decade we're in right now. Crazy. But we have Caro, and basically what I've read today, we're just getting introduced to him and who he is as a person and what he does for a living in this near future world where aliens have invaded. In a sense, it's not really like Mars attacks, that kind of alien invasion. It's more they're there, but they're not like, you know, humanoid beings. It's more like chemical kind of things, amoebas, that kind of thing. Let's go through my notes again. My tabs, these colors mean nothing now because I just changed up my system. I do it more by the ink of my pen. Since I did read a chapter, I read a chapter yesterday. I'm going to read my notes from yesterday as well. My first one is, this is going to be overwritten, and I do think it is. And I would say this is even a slow pace as we're just getting introduced to the story for the first quarter of it. But when I realized it was overwritten was literally like the first paragraph. It's like, this time it's because of a wedding and a final exam. They're not my wedding and not my exam. And the next sentence, in my seat by the window, I can see but not hear the city. And it goes on with, you will have something, then the contradiction to it. And I just am like, why tell us all that? You can word it so differently. And then I think I had one more tab yesterday. And it is, every year though, the biodome opens for 20 or 30 minutes in the south, in the Kahinde area. Everyone in the vicinity of the opening is cured of all physical and mental ailments. It is also well known and documented that the outcome is not always good, even if diseases are abolished. There are reconstructions that go wrong, as if the blueprints are warped. Nobody knows why this happens, but there are also people who deliberately injure themselves for the sole purpose of getting reconstructive surgery. And I'm like, is this utopian? Because people are being cured of cancer and just all, you know, any possible ailment. But I kind of talk about this in the video that came out on Tuesday, is utopian to me is only so strange. So utopia is like the perfect society, everything good in the world, you know. But it's because that's so impossible in our heads that something like that can exist. And I feel like there's always just going to be an underlayer to that. And I think The Giver is the book that really implemented this in my mind when I read that back in my freshman year of high school. And then at the same time, there was Into the Future with Sims 3, that you could go to a utopian future or a dystopian future. And utopian's just too perfect. Let's go into my tabs from today though. My first one is, okay, so our character, he can get in people's heads with this xenosphere. So I'm wondering if you go into the dome, because I think it says somewhere that he So as a sensitive, he can navigate the massive psychic space created by the dome. And I'm wondering if you go into the dome, if you get some kind of power and you become a sensitive, like how does one become a sensitive is my question. Next tab. So is the Xenosphere some kind of online world, like VR? You go into another world, and we'll talk more about what you look like when you go into this other world, which you are there physically, you're in our world physically, but you can, your soul or something, and you can travel to this other place, like the metaverse. Like, you remember that? I don't know if I'm the right thing. And I'm wondering, because he has tried like 3 different antidepressants and is having all these issues, I'm wondering if he's spending too much time in that other world and if it has some kind of mental impact. And this quote here, memory is always distorted by time. And I'm like, memory must be a theme for me this year, because so many of the books I read have some kind of theme with memory, even if this is just one sentence. But I'm picking up on it in a lot of stuff that I'm reading. And then we have, this is a flashback of when he first started getting these feelings and realizing that there might be something different about him, which is him being a sensitive, is when I get this feeling. So I was like, you must be born being a sensitive, because I think he's 8 years old when he first feels this. And I'm like, maybe the dome, but yeah, I don't know when this Rosewater dome happened. But when the dome happens, you guys know, like with Chernobyl, people had like birth defects because being in the radiation and all. I'm like, I wonder if the people who have been impacted by this dome get some kind of defect, and then this makes them a sensitive. Just, you know, multiple theories that I am making here. Next one, is healthcare going to be a theme? Because we talked about how this dome can cure people of mental and physical ailments. And oh my gosh, what if Caro is, how I told you, like none of the antidepressants are working? What if he's just telling his doctors that because he's wanting something to be wrong to see if the biodome can fix it? But is healthcare going to be a theme? Because as I just talked about, the biodome can heal people. And then also, I just talked about the like 3 antidepressants. Then he's talking to his girlfriend about after she went through this breakup, she got this persistent cough and low grade but really irritating, and she took every pill but nothing was happening and all of this. So I'm like, is there going to be a theme of healthcare here? And then, yeah, there's a lot of like weird sexual comments when I was just telling y'all. So, her lung had collapsed. So she was lifting up her shirt to like show, the scar from when she had to get surgery to fix her lung. And it makes comment of like the curve of her buttocks. And I'm like, why? She's showing you a scar. I think a scar is really significant and where your eye's going to go. And then this one here, green algae stains the walls where it meets the ground, and weeds sprout like pubic hair here and there. I've never thought of pubic hair when I'm just seeing weeds in the yard. Like, what? I think that's a really weird comparison. And when you go into the Xenosphere, you can take on like a whole new, like, he has the body of a lion. A lot of these people seem to have wings, and there is a scene where like there's so many like sexual scenes when they're in the spear, and like that all may mean something. That's what the sci-fi, like, this could mean something, but I'm just telling y'all, like, he has the body of a lion and is having sex, like they called it rutting. And yeah, that was kind of strange for me to read something like that. I'm sorry to be vulgar, but you know. And then I just marked this page because I thought it had a lot of important info on like the history of this world, about the biodomes and the aliens all involved. It happened in London in 2012, and I'm like, London in 2012 was a moment. And also, if you like Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, you might want to give this series a go, because I am definitely getting those vibes with this first book here. And I thought this scene was kind of cute again with Caro and his girlfriend. She is like, I like you, she says in a husky voice. I'm in like. Are you in like? I am in like, I say, and I just thought that was kind of cute instead of saying in love, that they like each other. They really like each other, but they haven't said those big words yet. And then this confirmation of what his job with the government actually is, and why, how that is associated with all this other like sci-fi elements we're getting in the story. And lastly, we have, he's going to this club again. This is a flashback in 2045 where there's Nollywood stars, low-level military officers, and drug barons. So I'm like, he must be some kind of celebrity. Like, people know him, and I'm like, why is that? I am curious what all that is about. But that's my first update for you guys on Rosewater by Tade Thompson. Happy Tuesday. I read 121 pages in Rosewater, and I'm here to give you all my update. This is still giving me 2-star vibes. I am at like 62% was the furthest out of, you know, we talked about yesterday. All the apps are only different. But we will, oh yeah, what is happening in the book? We have the mission part. We had like 3 separate missions happening, and we're going to get to that. But we have the part of the synopsis that, but when something within the dome begins killing off others sensitive, Caro must defy his masters to avert a horrifying future. So Caro is trying to find out what is all happening to his fellow sensitives, and that is the quest we're on. I'm realizing that the 2 sci-fi books that we read this month have been like mystery ones and like kind of detective, like this is a government worker, and that is a flaw for me because I learned last year with thrillers I don't like mysteries that are told like the detective or like a professional perspective. I like it when it's an amateur looking into a mystery, and apparently sci-fi likes to have these kind of mysteries and government agents and that kind of thing. But let's go through my tabs here. The first one being a plot one, and spoilers, so I can't tell you all of that. And then we have this one, that evidence of first contact was a quote. And this is just a different kind of first contact story. So if you are somebody who likes aliens and all, I would recommend this, because that's who I would recommend it to if you're wanting a new kind of first contact story, because it is very unique in that regard. I haven't read or watched any kind of first contact story quite like this one. We have a writing tab. So this is where I was talking about. We're on basically 3 missions. We have the one in 2066. We have the one plot line that is like Caro's backstory of becoming that agent, and then we have the interludes. And I'm just getting them all confused because they're all just, you know, going on these missions, going on these quests, and I'm like, okay, is this one? Is this taking place? And I'll be in the middle of the chapter, and I told you these chapters are kind of long, and I'll just be like, wait, where am I again? And it's just kind of confusing for me personally. And then here's another example of the writing style. Oh, I think I skipped a tab actually. Did I work? Okay, right down here. Yeah, I read the having a hard time one. Okay, I see my one that I thought I missed. But okay, this is another example of when I tell y'all this writing is like wordy and just not my kind of writing style. So Femi told me that over the last 2 years, I have given S45 terabytes of information on the twins. I know this, I say. So hence I say, S45 has enough to put them away, I say, just dotting I's and crossing T's, she says. Any day now, she says, right? Like, that is saying somebody says 4 times, and like, how many, like, in a paragraph. Just, that's wordy, overwritten, not for me, not my kind of writing style. And yes, this was the one that I told y'all about, like the weird like sexual comments, and anytime a female character is brought up, it's instantly what is attractive about her. Like this one, we have this guy telling Caro about somebody, and his first question is, how does she look? And then if we go to the next one, this is Caro thinking about, so Femi is like the woman that he reports to. When I think of Femi, the spinning shift gears slow down. I remember her perfume and the lift of her breast and the silly pout about her mouth. The tubes of light resolve into one tunnel. Like, why? why does every woman in this have to be sexualized? It's gross and I am not about it. And then this one I just tabbed because I think it's going to just be important for the world building of the first person who had who encountered the alien microorganisms and the first to enter the xenosphere. I just wanted to make note of that because I think it could be, and probably is, important to the story. I have to remind y'all, this is the first book in a trilogy, and at this point, no, we're not going to be continuing this trilogy, so some of my questions and all might not get answered, but that was just the risk I took by starting a series. But that is all for now. I had Texas Roadhouse for lunch. They did not have any ribs though, so I got basically a bunch of sides, and I'm gonna go have my leftovers now. Time to update y'all on Nightingale Point. Why did I put it at the bottom of the stack? But I got to 75% of the way into the book. I will likely be finishing this soon. I think there's like 60 something pages left. I don't remember how many pages are in the book, but we're just gonna go through Call Pal and tell y'all my thoughts. We are 1 month now past the traumatic, catastrophic event that happened, and we're just seeing the fallout of that. Characters, when you go through such an event like that, I feel like I need to have an emotional connection to these characters, but I do not. I like them and everything, and they do have their flaws, but I'm not gripped by them. And this is definitely a character-driven story, but I feel nothing towards them. I don't know how that works. Maybe we needed a little more building rather than starting on that ordinary Saturday morning. Maybe we needed just more backstory to make it happen. I don't know, but the atmosphere is definitely great, and definitely feels like London, feels like the British TV shows that I watch. It's taking place in the 90s, and yeah, definitely has that vibe. 1996 is when it's taking place. And then the writing, the dialogue, fantastic. When I was talking about how it really feels like that, and just being in the heads of these characters, we have Mary, who is an older woman, probably in her 50s. Malachi and Tristan, or we'll just say Malachi first, who he's 21. Tristan, who he's 15. Elvis, I'm not sure how old he is, but he has a learning disability, and Pamela, who is, again, a teenage girl. And so we have a wide variety of kinds of people, all different races, all different ages, and so on. And I think the author does a great job at getting into their heads. Like, it really feels like this is something that a 15-year-old boy would be saying, you know? Which I guess that can kind of fall on the character work as well. But the writing, it does not flow well. This is a debut, though, and I think there is a lot of promise with this author. But, like, the flow of flashbacks and then going to our current story is just kind of awkward. I think there is maybe needs to be literally just, you know, put a... you know, like let's say, like, put a dot between the two timelines just to make that transition easier. And as I said, this isn't really a plot heavy book. This is following these characters who go through this traumatic event and how a big traumatic catastrophic event can affect individual people, because when you see these things in the news, you're just thinking of the event, really. You're not thinking of all the individual people who are impacted by it. And that's really what this is uncovering. And, like, who would I recommend this for? Maybe fans of thrillers who are wanting to get into contemporary fictions. Is technically historical, but more literary historical. Again, taking place in 1996. That's technically historical, but, you know, it doesn't really feel historical because it's still relatively recent. But it's... so if you are a fan of thrillers and wanting to get into literary fiction, the plot twist in this literally made my jaw drop. I was so shocked, and, you know, but it is a slow pace. But I read 159 pages today. That's 11 more, no, 12 more. 12 more pages than I read yesterday. You know, that's only as cool. There's not really, I did set up a page goal and story graph of how many pages I would like to read in the year, but you know, it's not one I really care about. I'm trying to get a certain amount. I would like to read 100 pages a day. That's been my goal for like years, but it's not something I beat myself up over or anything. But I'm gonna go get my bath now, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. I really don't know. I'll probably do some writing stuff because I've been just in the past few weeks, it's probably something about how the stars are. I've just been in such a creative mood, like all these creative juices are flowing, and just writing out ideas and everything is a lot of fun. People have asked me about my writing in the past, only in person, nobody on the internet, like, you know, in my videos has ever asked, but would I like to publish something one day? Maybe. My dream would just be to make movies, I guess. Like, I have ideas and I don't know how to write it all out. So just pitching ideas at movie people. I don't know. That is probably my goal in my writing, because I just have ideas and I write down like the premise, and I might publish that one day. You never know. I might just print it out for myself. Who knows? But yeah, it's just for fun, just a hobby, nothing crazy or anything other than my book reviews that I write. But you know, just an update about my life, getting a little personal, I guess, with y'all. But the bookcase, it's supposed to get here tomorrow, according to Etsy. So hopefully it gets here and we will put together a bookshelf to do more reset activities. We are going to do a new background. I call it a background. I don't really know what to call this, but nobody seemed to question it when I posted on the Kindle subreddit about it. But we're going to do my February background for my Kindle. I used to do this in my reading journal, but I will show you what my reading journal this year looks like. There's not really a place for me. Hold on, what did that say up there? Okay, let's choose. There's not really a place for me to do this. There's no like blank page essentially. So I will just take like a backdrop and do it on here where I put a picture of the book that I read. But for each season or month, there's not really something for me to change. Obviously for these winter months, I am doing like a wintry background, and that is it. We're not doing anything too crazy. I saved that for my Kindle now, so I was really blessed to get this Kindle for my, not for my birthday, for Christmas. But I get my backgrounds for winter is in this Winter Garden Ephemera book. There's the barcode if you guys would like to look it up to get your own copy. I got this on Amazon, and obviously we're going to be going for a Valentine's Day theme here. I do have some Valentine stickers. I have this little pink booklet down here. And then I might just go through some of my winter stickers as well. But I'm going to shut up now and go to the time lapse. here's what I ended up doing with January sheet now that, you know, we're moving into a new month. I just put it on the first page of January in my planner. Happy Wednesday. The bookcase has not got here and it is 7:30 because it seems like it got put on the wrong delivery truck. It said delivery exception, and when I looked that up online, it seems like it got put on a wrong truck that isn't coming anywhere near my house, but it's still, like, you know, in my area, and hopefully it will get here tomorrow. Knock on wood. So I just did my Kindle stuff today. My Kindle's over there now, which y'all would have already seen, but I read 125 pages in Rosewater today. I have less than 30 pages left, so technically I could have finished this today, but I'm not wanting to push myself. That's one of my goals for 2025, is just not to overdo it, because why overdo things in life? Why do that? But I do. So I got to like 94% or something like that. I want to go over my thoughts with y'all. In our first scene, again, another objectifying women, because that seems to be huge in this book, is his girlfriend. You know, he has the girlfriend in the real world, and then in the Spear, he has the person that he hooks up with, where they're not really people. They have butterfly wings and look like lions and very furry-esque. But it's like, is what I do with Malara cheating? Does being in a relationship mean she owns my mind as well as the fidelity of my body? Like, yeah, to me that is cheating. You are sleeping with somebody else, even if it is in another sphere. That's cheating in my book, and I'm like, yeah. Then we have a tab on the next page, and it's like, this guy is meeting our character's girlfriend. I'm not, is how you say her name. Valentine laughs, but it ends in a cough. Cheeky, this one. Also nice ass. Why every time a man meets a woman in this book, there's something about her ass, or just, you know, about her body? Like, why so much sex and not in a good way? Because I understand that sex is a natural thing, and the majority of the population doesn't. I know there's some people who, you know, don't have sex, but like, everybody does it. It's a natural thing. But when it's just constantly these sexual comments, these objectifying comments, when this book is not advertised in that way at all, it just is gross to me. And this is just overtly sexual for some reason. You can have this whole story without having to be like, wow, she has a nice ass. Like, okay, we have a tab up here. Okay, how y'all know I'm confused by the 3 timelines, where I'll just be in a chapter for a little bit and be like, wait, are we in 2055, 2066? Where are we? And I think a way that could have been fixed is changing the tense of one of the sections. So let's say in 2055, in one of those flashbacks, or in the flashback chapters, do it in third person, where in the 2066, which is our modern day timeline, our present, do that in first person. I think that could have made it easier to tell the difference between the times that we are in. Okay, chapter 24. This is a quote that I liked. Again, it is describing a woman, but not necessarily in a sexual way. There is a clarity, a lack of deception, a beauty mixed with an untamed, playful expansion of possibilities and alternatives. I just liked that quote. And then I have one more quote. I was like, WTF, what did I just read? So definitely want to hit that 300 page mark. This plot gets extremely intriguing, because what I was reading about today, we find out what is this dome, and what, like, how did it come to be, what it is, and who's responsible for it, that kind of thing. So we're getting a lot of like what Wormwood is, because the trilogy is called the Wormwood Trilogy, and you're just getting a lot of answers on that, and that is all really intriguing. But I don't see myself continuing this trilogy. One, because the characters do absolutely nothing for me. Like, I have no opinion. And then I do not like the writing. I've told y'all, like, the structure itself, and then like the weird sexual stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't want to continue this series, but the plot is definitely getting more so intriguing. And if I did ever feel the desire to read more, I would just do it as an ebook or something, library book, you know. So those are my thoughts on Rosewater for the day. We should finish this tomorrow and start the last book of my January TBR. I should be, well, I did not know if I'd be able to get to it or not, but I do think I will be able to, which is, you know, super exciting. And then we're knocking on wood again, because I feel like I jinxed myself yesterday by being like, my bookcase is getting here tomorrow, and it didn't. But I am going to have some dinner now, and oh yeah, I want to film a TikTok actually, which is just a little fast video that I'm going to do, and it's the first book that comes to mind video, so I'm gonna go do that. It is Thursday. I've already been up and active in the community today and got some lunch. I was the first at the restaurant. This is like at this restaurant the second time in a row that I've been the first one there, and you know, it's cool being the first one there, getting, because it's a buffet, so I get like first pick. Awesome. But I want to talk about, there was the plane crash last night of the American Airlines and the Black Hawk helicopter, Army helicopter. And y'all know I'm an aviation geek. Right here at this desk, not on that same computer, I used to watch like Mayday and Flight Disasters or something, and it just, at that time it had only been like 3 years since a major deadly commercial airline crash in the United States. And that was when I was first going on planes back in 2012, and it just seems so foreign, like something like that could happen. As a kid, like a young kid, I was always like scared of flying because of 9/11. It happened when I was a kid, so that was always a lingering thing. But I mean, now as an adult, I'm like, what are the odds of something like that happening? And that's with a lot of people who I've seen on like Reddit and social media being scared to go flying now. And people at DCA, which is national, we've been there in a few vlogs, not in the airport, but we have been plane spotting at like Gravelly Point Park. And I wouldn't be scared. I don't think y'all need to be scared. One, at DCA, what are the odds that in a 24-hour period you would have 2 mid-air collisions when there has not been a major crash in the United States in 16 years? I think the odds are pretty good that you're going to be safe, but the thing that is like really heartbreaking about this is on the plane where a lot of young kids, oh my god, I don't want to get emotional, but young kids who were ice skaters, figure skaters, and you know, they had for the national I don't know what it's called, but you know, some of the best in America, and just the Winter Olympics are next year, and they probably had hopes and dreams of, you know, being Olympians. And oh, that's emotional. And then with CRJs, usually those flight crews are younger, and this is American Eagle, which is the regional for American Airlines, and that's what flies into my city. That very plane had even been, it started its day in South Carolina at Greenville, Spartanburg, but those are usually young crews who are just getting into the airline industry. Obviously, we don't know yet for that flight because, you know, the pilots could be any age. And then it was a training Army exercise with the helicopter. So just think these were all people who were probably just getting started in their careers. And yeah, it's heartbreaking and awful, awful, awful. I did want to make note of that as somebody who is really into aviation, and especially with CRJs and Blackhawks, I see those pretty much every other day, coming between Fort Jackson and Fort Liberty, right, you know, in the middle of those two military bases. So I see Apaches and Blackhawks a lot. And then, as I told you, American Eagle is the airline that flies into my city on those very same jets. So yeah, but I did finish a book today. I finished Memory Wall. And with my like short story collections, I don't do the decimal ratings and all that. So this was a 3, but once I'd already put into grades, I was like, was it a 4? So this is probably more like a 3.25, 3.5, because it started out a little bit rough for me. I had a hard time connecting with some of the characters because I don't even want to say it because it's a short story collection, because I've read some short story collections where I'm very invested in the characters, even some by the same author, but this is one of his early works, and I do know that he has improved as an author since the release of this. This is like almost 15 years old at this point, so that is really promising, knowing that has improved. But just some of the times I think a lot of these stories would benefit just from being longer, and some of these are quite long for short stories, but I think some with the character work really just needed more building. There was a lot of emphasis more on the world building for the speculative fiction ones rather than building the characters themselves. And the atmosphere, this is epic. For a short story collection, that seems crazy to classify that as epic, but the grand scale of memory, and memory is really like what makes life, and life is what makes you know, the world. I want to read y'all, this is actually a snippet from another collection, so this wasn't even a part of this collection, but this story is called The Deep, and it was winner of the Sunday Times EFG Private Bank Short Story Award 2011. And this is about a boy who has some kind of heart issue. This was in the early part of the last century, so I don't know what it would be called now, but he has a heart condition, and the doctor's like, you will only live to be 16 if you're lucky 18. And that has such an impact on him, because as he's getting older, he's like, is this going to be my last day? Is this going to be my last day? And his like mother is very protective of him because she doesn't want to lose her baby, you know? And then we get to the last page of the story, and I thought this was really moving. But now I know life is one thing in the world that never runs out. I might run out of mine and you might run out of yours, but the world will never run out of life. And we're all very lucky to be a part of something like that. And even if that story wasn't necessarily part of this collection, I think that sums us up very well and amazing. And then writing, yes, I love his writing style. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so smart and intelligent, but it's still accessible, because there's so many books like Rosewater where we have like those science scenes, but the average person can't really know what all of that means. When with Anthony Doerr, he does dabble in the speculative fiction, but makes it easy for the average person to understand. And I think that's why his books have gained such success, winning awards, his short stories winning awards, because it's so easy to understand. And it's something we are all a part of, is this thing called life, this world that we live in. And then the themes here, I think that's a major theme. The ideas are just so big of how we're all connected, the grandeur of life. I want to just go through, and this is a story or a collection ultimately about memory. I just want to go through some of these and tell y'all about that. We have Memory Wall, which is our title story, and this is in a world where there's a woman who has memory issues. I'm not exactly sure her diagnosis again, but is going through the process of forgetting her memories after the traumatic event of losing her husband. But now, as this is speculative fiction, there has come a thing where people can rewatch their memories. They put on a helmet, somebody puts the tape or, you know, whatever in the helmet, and they can watch those memories again. With Procreate Generate, I don't really, this is one that I think is kind of the oddball here. It was about this couple going through IVF, and this one was, with Memory Wall, my issue was I couldn't really connect with the characters and was getting them confused. With Procreate Generate, it was just very repetitive, because we're seeing this cycle of trying to have a baby. And at this time when this was published, I think that could have been like a very eye-opening thing, but now IVF is so prevalent. But is it going to stay that way? Who knows? But I think that's the oddball. The Demilitarized Zone, I have a hard time saying that. This is about a boy who is, you know, in modern day serving in the DMZ when his grandfather was also a Korean War vet and served in Korea. And again, the grandfather is having issues with his memory, but these, the grandson is sending letters back to his dad, and it's kind of like history repeating itself. Village 113 is memories of a place, and I guess you could say that for the DMZ one as well, but Village 113 is in China, and they're having to get all these people out to make a reservoir to dam up a creek or whatever, or a river, and it's leaving that place behind, leaving your home, and all you're gonna have left is the memories. The river Nemunas, this one was probably my favorite, and we have a young girl who her parents both died relatively close together, months apart, from cancer, and she lives in Kansas and is having to move to Lithuania, where her only living relative is her grandfather. So she has the memories of her parents, her life in America, and is now being immersed in the memories of her mother, basically, of where her mother grew up in Lithuania. Afterworld. Okay, so the deep technically was, they have the deep listed here. So the afterworld, very fascinating. We have a woman who is elderly, and she is epileptic, I can never say that word, but has seizures, and she has her whole life, and she grew up in a Europe that was being overrun by Nazis in World War II, and a lot of her friends got sent away to concentration camps, and she was able to escape. She had help and went to the UK and then came to New Jersey. And when she is having a seizure, she has these hallucinations of her friends and her life as a child in the 1930s in Germany. And yeah, it's memory. It's what makes us and makes history. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm like, should I have given this a 4? I don't know, but we put it in as a 3. I'm gonna go take my picture for Bookstagram, write my review and all that. We should finish. I know Rosewater will finish today. Nightingale Point, maybe, I don't know, but we have a chance of finishing 3 books today, which is crazy. It's a crazy way to end the month. We are going to excuse the lighting right now. That's just the time of day it is, but I gotta read outside, which is super fun. I don't know how many pages I read those, so I do need to, you know, do that in my reading journal, or not my reading journal, in my planner in a minute. But I did finish Rosewater by Tay Thompson. I'm giving it a 1.85. I really debated giving this a straight up 1 star, but we're giving it a 2 star because there were some good elements, and I will give it that. So I have my Call Pal, I have my actual reading journal right here, and we're just gonna go through Call Pal and talk about what I thought of this book. With the characters, I gave a 2 star because I honestly didn't really care. I felt like I didn't know them on an emotional level, that they were there for the sake of this story and for this plot. I would say definitely more of a plot-driven story. The atmosphere, now, I guess, yeah, it's cool this is taking place in Nigeria because that is a location you don't really read in sci-fi. I've only read it in contemporary literary fiction and never, again, in science fiction, and I do think that's cool, but I don't think it played a huge part in the story. Writing, I hated the writing. It was really hard to follow the plot with all these different timelines that we are seeing, and then just the overtly sexual comments made me uncomfortable and grossed me out, and we got more of them today. He's talking to his girlfriend, completely normal conversation, and then he says, okay, Amant is uncertain about this. I can tell from the way she shifts this way and that, causing a whisper from her summer dress. The sound makes me want to stop, kneel in front of her, and stick my head between her thighs. Why? Why do we need to know that? Just the sound of her dress makes you want to put your head between her thighs? Why did we have to have these overtly sexual comments and objectifying women throughout? Did not like that at all. The plot, now this plot, oh gosh, the sun. I'm trying to have my head right there. Okay. The plot, the mystery, like the government agent going on missions kind of thing is not for me. And so that is a me thing, because I picked up this book like over 5 years ago is when I bought it, and maybe me back then would have enjoyed it more, but where I'm at now, I'm coming to terms, I don't really like those mystery mission quest kind of books, and that's all the sci-fi's been this month. Not all the sci-fi, but 2 of the sci-fi books we've read this month have been that way. But at the end, with the actual like alien stuff and with this biodome, super fascinating, and it's so unique. And I haven't read anything in the like alien first contact kind of trope in sci-fi. I haven't read anything like they are doing, or like he's doing with the aliens in this book. And then intrigue, I didn't really care where it was gonna go. Logic, sure, fine. And enjoyment, I didn't really like it. Wasn't for me. So it is a 2-star. If any of this appeals to you, I'd recommend checking it out at the library first. And if you want to continue the series, be my guest and go buy a copy. Yeah, so that's that with Rosewater. We will be starting my nonfiction pick of the month later, and I will tell y'all what this book's about then. But and it's a newer release. This is from like 2016 or something. This is copyright 2016. So I read a lot of backlist, but I got the book finished. I did my sci-fi for the month, did my time. Didn't really go well for me. But we had 2 2-stars, 1 3-star. So that's 6 divided by 3. So it was average. It was fine. It was good. Not great. And that's not what we want with our reading. It is time to start a new book, my nonfiction of the month, and that is Disillusioned: 5 Families in the Unraveling of America's Suburbs by Benjamin Harold. I picked this up in Atlanta last year because I wanted to get... I had been in St. Simons and Brunswick the week before, and I wanted a Georgia book, and I got a Georgia book when I was there, so I was like, I'm still in Georgia. What do I do? And I was like, maybe let's look at nonfiction, since I got a fiction when I was in southern Georgia. And I was like, I kept walking by this, and I was like, that title's really intriguing. Sounds like something I would like. I was like, if it says Atlanta, I'll buy it, because 1, I was in Atlanta, and 2, I associate Atlanta with suburbs. Literally, they go on and on and on. There's like no end. But let's get to the description of the book. Through the stories of 5 American families, a masterful and timely exploration of how hope, history, and racial denial collide in the suburbs and their schools. Outside Atlanta, a middle-class black family faces off with a school system seemingly bent on punishing their teenage son. North of Dallas, a conservative white family relocates to an affluent suburban enclave, but can't escape the changes sweeping the country. On Chicago's North Shore, a multiracial mom joins an ultra-progressive challenge to the town's liberal status quo. In Compton, California, whose suburban roots are now barely recognizable, undocumented Hispanic parents place their gifted son's future in the hands of educators at a remarkable elementary school. And outside Pittsburgh, a black mother moves to the same street where author Benjamin Harold grew up, then confronts the destructive legacy left behind by white families like his. Disillusioned braids these human stories together with penetrating local and national history to reveal a vicious cycle undermining the dreams upon which American suburbia was built. For generations upwardly, mobile white families have extracted opportunity from the nation's heavily subsidized suburbs, then moved on before the bills for maintenance and repair came due, leaving the mostly black and brown families who followed to clean up the ensuing mess. But now sweeping demographic shifts and the dawning realization that endless expansion is no longer feasible are disrupting this pattern, forcing everyday families to confront a truth their communities were designed to avoid. The suburban lifestyle dream is a Ponzi scheme whose unraveling threatens us all. How do we come to terms with this troubled history? How do we build a future in which all children can thrive? Drawing upon his decorated career as an education journalist, Harold explores these pressing debates with expertise and perspective. Then alongside Bethany Smith, the mother from his old neighborhood who contributes a powerful epilogue to the book, he offers a hopeful path towards renewal. The result is nothing short of a journalistic masterpiece. And I will be following along on the audiobooks since Harold and Smith are narrating the audiobooks themselves, and I think that's really special when an author of the book is doing the audiobook as well. And I like that it seems like he's putting a solution out there, because I think a lot of times people complain but don't really know what to do about it. And in that last paragraph that I read, y'all, it looks like he's coming up with what should be done to fix the issues that are there. But I'm going to start this at 6 o'clock. Time for the nightly update, this being on Disillusioned. And I did not bring the dust jacket. Hold it shirt here with me. I want to put it somewhere where y'all can see it. When I'm sitting here, what do y'all see? Y'all see this over here where the cats are kind of in the way. Will Bigfoot hold that up for me? And y'all can't see that because I'm in the way. But we are here to talk about Disillusioned, and this has been really eye-opening. It is a lot, I would say, and I just want to read y'all some of the tabs that I have left here, starting all the way back in the preface. Yeah, preface. And it's talking about the cycle of suburbia and how connecting these far ends of the suburban spectrum, I learned, was a relentless cycle of a radicalized development. And that made me realize something that I had never thought of with gentrification. I can never say that word right. If we think about it, so they're talking about, you know, after World War II is when, you know, when suburbs started being made. Oh, I totally skipped a tab. Okay, but that's when suburbs started getting made, was after World War II, and you saw a lot of white people were moving out of the cities and going out to the suburbs. And so that is where I would say this cycle started. And now we're seeing gentrification in those large cities. Well, not even in large cities, because I wouldn't say my city is a large city, but you're seeing those cities be gentrified. So then so the white people are moving like back to the cities, and then you have in our Atlanta example here, you have black people moving to the suburbs because that's where they have better school records and that kind of thing. We'll get more into it, but so they're moving to the suburbs when the white people are moving to the city, and it's a cycle. And I had never thought of that before. That is happening in our society. And this is a quote that was my first tab that I totally skipped over. I don't know why, because it's on the same page. America, with its long history of broken promises, might not hold. It's talking about how equality, that's what America, you know, was founded on, was equal rights. That promise is a broken promise because women, people of color, LGBT people, immigrants, they're not all equal. And the camera's dying, so hold on. But okay, I'm back now. We're doing an iPhone clip. I'm sorry for the change in that. And oh, since we're doing an iPhone clip now, I can probably move this somewhere where you can see the book cover. And I'm doing this with the microphone. So yeah, I have way too much junk. One day I will declutter all of that, but that's going to take a lot of motivation and energy. Let's go back to my notes in Disillusioned. Here's this, okay, this green one is the next. So this is a quote from Langston Hughes, who I have not read for him since I was in high school. If you have recommendations, let me know, because y'all know I'm wanting to read authors that I read in high school, and I don't remember what story by him that I read. But this quote: "Let America be America again, the land that has never been yet, and yet must be." And that, again, is falling back on that quote of these broken promises, that not everybody is equal. And that's what they say America was raised on, or, you know, meant to be, but it's not. There's inequality everywhere you look. And I saw it firsthand today, but okay. Then we are with the Becker family, who are in Lucas, Texas, and this is how their section starts in the introduction. America's suburbs have long promised a brighter future to those willing to forget the past. That's the first illusion, as old as the nation itself, that we can only start over somewhere new, find freedom farther out on the frontier, stay forever a step ahead of history. And y'all know I talk about manifest destiny all the time and how it is still something that does exist. And this little sentence, few sentences here, is confirming that it is still very much a true thing and didn't end when like California became a state. That it's still, but terms and words I do think can evolve with their meaning, and I think that is an example of that. Okay, we have another tab here. Yes, these circles in Dallas. It's called exurbs, and that we are seeing this with you. So we have Dallas itself, and it just keeps on growing. In this case, I'm going to use Plano as an example, and now they've left Plano to go to Lucas because of what I was talking about. How people of color are coming into those schools, coming from the city, being bussed into these other schools. And there's this is Texas. That's a song, right? That you have students who don't know English that well, and so people are gradually moving more outward. And that had me thinking, y'all know Charlotte is my closest major city, and you see gradually moving more towards South Carolina. I'm thinking like Lancashire County. Lancaster is how I say it, but Lancashire is the local pronunciation. And I thought in the South, there's just so many people moving here, especially post COVID, because we never really shut down. And I thought that there's just wasn't enough room in Charlotte proper, so it has to move outward, which I think could still be true. Now, this book doesn't say that, and again, Charlotte is obviously not Dallas. I don't know if these exurb things are exclusive to Dallas, Texas, or if it is what I'm seeing here in Charlotte, in Raleigh, Charleston, Columbia, everywhere. But I thought that was interesting because I had never thought about that. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm sorry with this microphone. I'm not good at handling the microphone, but okay. And right off the bat in the introduction, I said this is some kind of writing style. I don't really still know how to describe it, but it feels like these families. Like this feels so real. These situations that all these families are in, that you've probably heard of people in your own community in these situations, which you probably have. But it just feels so true and so real. And it is nonfiction after all, and it definitely feels like that. Okay, let's see. We have this green tab. Okay, we have two on here. Victor Moreno, he is a teacher in Compton, and he's an older man. He's had a stroke recently, but his love for these students and how he plays the guitar for him, and oh my gosh, he was so wholesome. I love him. Shout out to him. And we have one more tab here. Over here, this blue tab. Yeah, the tab colors are irrelevant. I'm just saying that. Okay, we have the Beckers again, who are moving from Plano to Lucas, but this is when they were first, starting their family in the early to mid 2000s, and were looking for, a place to live. And it says, reflectively, the Beckers pictured themselves walking hand in hand with their future children to Daffrin each morning, then helping with homework at the granite-topped kitchen counter before dinner, and peeking in on the kids as they studied in their brightly painted bedrooms at night. Susan and Jim saw themselves as hardworking and frugal, especially compared to their fellow corporate climbers, many of whom splurged on fancy private schools and expensive new cars. The Beckers had both attended Texas public schools, and they wanted their children to do the same. Still, the couple was determined that the kids would begin life with a head start. Without even trying, they seemed to have stumbled onto a direct path to all the opportunities the country had to offer. Just a few days into their first house hunt, the Beckers found a place that promised to deliver the American dream directly to their doorstep. And in this book, it's talking about why are these school districts, why are the good school districts? And why are these places desired to be lived in? And a lot does stem from racism. But we see these these people here, the Beckers, going to find this school. And I think this is how most people are. They're not thinking, why is this a good school? What was this community built on? What was this area built on? These like the nice rich suburbs. What made them that? So I don't think these people go in with bad intent. I'm not generalizing it, like just this example here. But from this is only 63 pages because you don't generalize, because there are some people who probably are racist and looking for it to be in predominantly white schools. But in this case, I don't think these people, I think they just want a good school, but they didn't know, okay, a good school means that there's certain kind of people there, and maybe these people, only 1% are learning English. Maybe it's a certain percent white. I don't think that a lot of people are looking into that. But again, I do not know. I don't have kids. I've never looked at sending kids to a school. I think a lot of them were just looking for this, where they're seeing this neighborhood and they're like, oh, we can walk our kids to school. There's parks. It's so nice. I don't think they're going in with bad intentions. And I just wanted to make note of that. But I got to page 69, 16% of the book. That's my update on Disillusioned. I want to finish it this weekend. I don't know how realistic that is. So I don't know if you're going to get any more updates on this book or not. But I'm going to go eat dinner now. The bookcase did not arrive once again. Knock on wood. I'm so sorry that in this video I was telling y'all that I'd be putting together a bookcase and I didn't get to do that. I'm really disappointed because I love doing the bookcases and this is my last one, and FedEx didn't deliver it. I'm really upset with FedEx because they're my favorite delivery service. So first it gets put on the wrong truck, and then it says delivery updated that's going to be here between 11:30 to 3:30, and now it's 7:30 and I never got it. So we're not going to let the anger rise. Y'all aren't going to get good lighting in here, but I was just thinking more about like what I was saying about Disillusioned, of the part about the family, like looking at the neighborhood, looking at the school districts. I think that's why this book is important, because it is eye-opening and revealing what these communities are built on, and hopefully will give us an answer, provide us an answer on what we can do to improve these situations. Like with our Pittsburgh one, it was talking about like the white people moving out of certain neighborhoods, so the schools are predominantly black but still have white teachers, and it causes a lot of racial tension. And I think it's just important to show how this is happening all around America. And again, I hope that the author provides us an answer of how we can move forward, how we can fix this situation. I just felt like I needed to add in more with what I said earlier, and I know you can see my finger there, but if you made it this far in the vlog, you probably don't care, but I'm messy. It's time for the last update of this vlog, and I finished Nightingale Point by Lune Goldie, and I actually gave this a higher rating than I anticipated. I gave it a 3.85, which will be a 4-star on all those bookish social media sites, because by the end of this, I was like, I don't really think this is a 3, and I don't necessarily want to unhaul it. I personally thought it would be closer to a 3.5, but it ended up at a 3.85 by the time that I finished it. We will go through Call Pal, and again, let's see if I make this. Okay, I guess I can't with this when it's in selfie mode. I know, like, I like y'all to be able to see what I'm talking about, so I guess I can hold this. But let's go through Call Pal. So characters, I gave a 3 because I do think they were good, and I think the author did a good job at getting in their heads. But again, I lacked that connection with them, and I do think they had good character arcs, but just a little lacking of depth. But Elvis, he was a great 5 out of 5 character. I loved him and seeing the world from his perspective. And we're just, okay, we'll get to that with plot. But atmosphere was another thing today that I realized was a 4. I think this perfectly shows the UK at this time period, and that like the dialogue and atmosphere very much felt like the UK. And obviously that's where this is taking place and what you should feel when you're reading a book taking place in the UK. It definitely does get that vibe. But the writing, I gave a 3 because these were my main issues with the book. The ones that hindered my reading experience the most was the pacing for herself, because I did end up having to skim because it was just so slow paced. We have before the event, and that was slow paced. Then we have like the day of, and that was fast paced, fantastic. And then we have the after of what's happening after. Now, it's not as slow as the start because we are just seeing these characters go through these mental and physical, like, I don't know why I do that all the time. Maybe there's a lot of ghosts, but really it's because I'm cold. This house is freezing. But there's these characters are just going through so many mental and physical struggles after going through such an event as the one portrayed here. And it's so interesting getting to dive into their heads like that. And then there was this with the flashbacks and all, I think it was just clunky how it was done, and I think it could have been formatted better. And then let's talk about the plot. I did give the plot a 5. I do think this plot is fantastic, but again, the writing was what took away, but the plot itself was really good. Following these characters before, during, and after a traumatic, claustrophobic event that not a lot of people have gone through. And this is my first time seeing it on page, really. I have heard of other books going through similar events, but this was my first time personally reading a book like that. Then we had the intrigue. I gave a 3 because of the slow pacing. Once again, logic, a 5. It makes complete sense of what the characters went through, how their stories developed. I thought that was great. And then again, enjoyment, I would say more of a 3.5, but I guess I could have put that on Call Pal. I guess I could have put a 3.5, but I put a 4, just rounded it up. Because overall, I do think this is a good book, and I have to think about when that big event happened, the way my jaw dropped, and I was like, I really like this dialogue. If I ever write UK characters in the future, I want to write like this book wrote it. And so I was like, I want to be taking pictures of this dialogue, but I'm like, no, I'm giving it a 4-star. I can keep this book. I don't have to unhaul it. And I have a signed copy, which is pretty cool. But I do want to talk about what next week's reading vlog is going to be about. It is going to be another 5-star prediction, or yeah, my 5-star prediction. And this is going to be my last one of those for the foreseeable future, because I'm not doing my 5-star prediction project in 2025 because I really failed at it in 2024. I didn't fail, but I didn't do as well as I would have liked to, and I just don't want to have to go through that again. So I'm not doing it this year. So next week's will be the last 5-star prediction vlog. It's going to be The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. It is about a Medici girl, because they're not royal or anything. I don't know if they're a duchess or anything yet. I don't remember what year this book is taking place. I would say 15 or 1600s by the cover, because it's a painting, it's a portrait, and that's the art style that it looks like, which is not in my usual wheelhouse for the Medici. So that's going to be fun and different for me to read about, but I'm super excited for the setting, the history, the character work. I'm really hoping that it will go well. I have heard that Hamnet is better, and I gave Hamnet a 3-star, unhauled it, got it back because I didn't donate it or anything. I just gave it to a family member, and then I kept thinking about the book, and I was like, I should probably take it back and reread it. So I took it back. With that one, I'd recommend doing audio. I did physical, and I think that was part of my struggle. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I did it on audio. That's just the case for some books. Yeah, so that's going to be next week's, is that 5-star prediction. We'll see if it lives up to my expectations. Hopefully it does. Knock on wood again. I'm not going to make any promises about bookcases because FedEx wanted to screw me over like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys had a happy January. If you made it all the way through, yeah, I would have said how many pages I read, but I don't even see my planner. Oh, it's over there. But okay. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a snow emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!